Hello, everyone, and welcome. In this recording, I'm going to be speaking about this upcoming new moon taking place in the sign of Sagittarius on the 1st of December 2024. This is quite a special lunation because, just on the surface, the big picture, the tip of the iceberg is like a usual, let's say, new moon. But if we look into it deeply, it is a hidden gem. It is truly packed with power, packed with magic, and the potential of miracles. But I don't want to say this lightly because, whenever something manifests, there is a range of possibilities where the two extremes are equally possible. So whenever there is a miracle somewhere, you know, the principle of balance and the mirror reality principle, this is where maybe in an other version of events in someone else's life, in another setup, there is the opposite to that, a tragedy, a crisis, etc. But we can already know how both of these are fated. However, this is one of those rare moments when fate, especially the creational force of any new moon, is in our hands. In a certain way, with a certain type of, how should I say, rules to it. Sagittarius, the law. But there is a huge potential here. Quantum leap potential, like in the truest sense, a spiritual leap, elevation potential. And when I say spiritual, this isn't the pure philosophy that's really always something um, that's not happening here down on earth or not part of our physical lived experience. This isn't one of those types. This is where, yes, it is, as I said again, highly philosophical, highly where we have to work our higher thinking muscle very, very strongly. Our lower mind can only support that, can only be like a good helper to it. But that's all it can do. It cannot. So that's why the higher mind, the philosophical mind, the symbolic mind, the mind which knows based on belief, both sides of belief, if you want to know where I'm going with this. So both sides in the sense that we see, therefore we believe, but the opposite to this, we believe, therefore we see. The two are really the same coin on both sides, you know what I mean? So if this is the nucleus of this new moon, raw creational energy, and also the other aspect of any new moon, the darkness of the moon, total darkness, let's throw in old, outdated beliefs, limitations into the darkness of the void and free ourselves from shackles. And what I said just now, right off the bat, the already how powerful potential does this simple lunation present to all of us, regardless of who it is that we are? Because even the existence, basically, the functioning of the most materialistic and closed minded individuals, so basically everyone and everything that is human or lives in human form, belief and belief system is at the core of everything. We are the ones who set our boundaries. Our dimension may be vast to the degree of multidimensionality, or it may be as small as a bubble. You know, where those children's toy, the bubble maker, those small bubbles. We are the ones who determine this. We live in the illusion that it's quite the opposite, that we are conditioned. But truly, the more we dig into the conditioning, the more we see where freedom lies, and exactly here. And this is also the new moon and the integrity, sorry, of what Sagittarius stands for as a sign, as the philosophical aspect of human existence, as our sense of justice. But justice is nothing without philosophy and faith in something. And at the same time, uh, it holds such a powerful aspect with other fiery energies that, how should I say, it truly gives us a I don't necessarily want to say once in a lifetime, because that might not be really correct, but a very rare in lifetime, let's put it like that, fuel that is like a miracle fuel like manna. You know what I mean? It is something, a state, an empowerment, a divine fire burning within us, even literally the neurons, our brain. The electricity is fire, so it's literal, physical. If that receives by default a certain kind of frequency, so it's elevated by default a few steps above its normal, natural. And we also have the openness to take it as further as we can handle, of course. And this is where, yes, this gives way to delusions and the dangerous stuff. However, even this part, a massive reality check on how to use this energy correctly for us personally, of course, is provided by default. Another aspect, a tensionate aspect, but one which is a saving grace. So, long story short, this is where we have a genie in a bottle or in a lamp or in our hands, but we must dish out not just the maximum of our wisdom potential, whatever that means to the person individually, because we are judged in this case, of course, by individual. One soul is not wiser than the other, because the wisest souls will have a task, a creational task, the new moon, or a void task, as in to discard the belief, equal tailor suited for them. The bigger they are, the harder it gets. So no one can outpower or, this. And even the power dynamic is provided by Pluto opposing Mars. And this is also the sign of, justice. There are certain moments in life when it's about divine justice, and this is it. So we must use this energy and truly put the, how should I say, the fuel, or the whatever that thing is inside of a reactor, that plasma, that that energy into our faith right now. And remember, this is not anything indoctrinated cannot help us, because this has to be so unique to us that we need to put the type of faith in this which like a 5, 6, 7-year-old child could only. That pure, knowing nothing but believing everything type of faith, where we need to put our diplomas, science, our degrees, and our rational or greater understanding of the world besides. And when I say greater understanding, I'm not saying anti-empirical science only, even ancient wisdom, even religion, any system that you are anchored, even if it's your own, if you know what I mean. It doesn't matter that you created it or it's your child. You need to put everything aside now and return to that primordial faith and creative state and believe something into existence, perhaps new moon, or quantum. As this can be a fuel. You can use this to quantum leap something already existing in your life. This can be used for, depending on where this is in your personal chart. If it's, for example, a first house, then it's a big birthing literally a new self by believing new options for yourself are possible. So this is where discarding a big limitation. Second house, seeing worth and value in yourself or life or you as in personal, where you were blind to it all your life. Third house, finally figuring something big out, but practically. Something which was until now to the impossibility, sorry, that I cannot give it a shape and form in a classic mercurial sense, as in the rational earthly way of knowing, that finally gets something, you get somewhere with that. But understand this, for example, financial speculations, negotiations, talk, communication, doing something differently. Fourth house, real estate, house, home, roots, inheritance. You do a genetic test and discover something shocking. And that discovery leads you somewhere. A place calls you, a sense of belonging. Something triggers in your soul and family karma and stuff like that. Fifth house, falling in love, creativity, children, having children, fertility, new moon. Remember, so, creativity, passion, love. Sixth house, daily routines, physical body, health, sacrifice in the sense of Pisces is the non-physical part of the sacrifice, the soul part, the emotional part, the wanting to sacrifice part, where Virgo is where we actually do it. What the sacrifice will mean in a real way. For example, my time or my patience, my money, my going some, whatever that means in an executed earthly way. You get where I'm going. So service, job. But when I say job, it's really just job. So how your career, the 10th house soul path, is basically executed. What your soul path is doesn't matter. The modus operandi matters only. Seventh house, partnership, marriage, contracts, decision making, law, relation with authorities. Eighth house, resources you share, everything that has to do with you and other people. For example, financial stuff, debt, what people share with you. For example, a financial opportunity before it is in your wallet or in your pocket. So you get where I'm saying, or anything deeply psychological or that will transform your life permanently. Ninth house, foreign affairs, your skill specialization like education, diploma, higher education studies, um, philosophy, of course, worldview, religion, and a long distance travel, 10th house, soul path, career. That's so vast, I'm not even going to get into it. 11th house, social connection, what principles, ideals you share with other people, political stuff. For example, in my country, it's exactly on election period. So it will be so literal in that sense. Um, and 12th house, anything that has to do with the soul, the unconscious, the dream, karma, uh, hidden stuff, secrets, psychological, and even karmic connections. So where this falls in your chart, which house, that's where this creating with the power of faith is really, really going to be activated and empowered by other aspects in your life. Especially if this new moon at 9 degrees and 32 minutes of the sign of Sagittarius um, speaks with any natal planet or point or something in your chart. For example, a conjunction or a square, a trine, and it kind of has to be exact. So 2 degrees plus or minus to that exactity, you might feel it very strongly, deeply, and it might be very important. But at the same time, this lunation doesn't discriminate anyone. It is opportunity based. Let chaos birth something for you, and chaos reacts to only one thing: hope, optimism, that Sagittarian power, that not just Sagittarian sun natives, but every living being has installed in its soul matrix, because everyone has a Sagittarian energy in their being, so to speak, in their chart, hence their being. So all of us can use this. It does not discriminate. So let's get into this, because I would like to begin with the more practical sides as a quick list, because I would like to really put the emphasis on how, just simply the instructions on how to use this energy to create something for ourselves in our lives, of course, in our stories, the big alchemical journey from our birth to now, that side of life, and at the same time in the world collectively. That's very much Sagittarius, and we need peace. We need all the saving grace and miraculous happy ending that we can possibly conjure up with this energy and other energy. Every energy has to be in these troubling days about that, calling in miracles, calling in anything to defy this reality in a positive way, of course, in a pro-life and harmony and growth and future way, if you know what I mean. Not necessarily in the ugly side of chaos way, where let's return heaven and earth to one state. You know what I mean. So I'm not even sure what to begin with, because so much to say. Well, let's begin with Sagittarius, the host sign, law. And with this, I'm not even gonna explain further. international law, international courts of justice. All of that is on fire as we speak. So nothing new. I don't even need, this isn't even predictive. And actually, with this being said, I would like to apologize how late this is. So hence, it doesn't have to be predictive because we already see this play out the legal way. Ambassadors, lawyers, human rights, airspace, borders, the legal side of it, I mean, religion, and the theoretical part of science. For example, observing something that we cannot explain with our current understanding of the world, reality, technology, whatever, that is included. Because no one says it cannot be surprise, surprise. Because the ruler of the lunation is Jupiter, and Jupiter is holding aspects with other planet in Sagittarius. So if Jupiter is the dish out planet of this energy, how should I say? Coincidentally, or maybe not, it will involve Mercury as well, almost like by default. So it will be definitely a touch of mystery, a touch of it blows my understanding of everything I thought was real until now. Absolutely. But that is also part of a Sagittarian new moon, and that is also part of knowledge in a way that we will study it and figure it out. We will integrate it into the symbol of Sagittarius. Or the other way around, where we use knowledge and research to make something big. At the same time, air travel. So something big and new. And ultimately, that doesn't necessarily have to be in a very positive way. This new moon squares Saturn. Saturn in the sign of Pisces. Saturn is limitation. It might be new limitations, new restrictions, a harshening or worsening or tightening of the permissiveness of rules, regulation, the law. When the law becomes harsh, that can also be part of this. Or where the law is regulated, where it is, in instances where it is way too harsh, it is challenged. I don't want to put oil onto fire, but for example, in places in the world where women have like really no rights, let's just be honest with each other. Not limited rights, but really no rights. In a legal, modern, legal, international way. Not how they live it and see it. Okay, so this must be added there. In a modern, outside context, not how they live it, or according to their religious or their traditional laws. So not Saturn is the traditional law, which is gonna be challenged, right? By the new, the modern, the common, the outside law. New moon in Sagittarius, so there's gonna be clashes, and and the media is gonna be full of news and Mercury opposing Jupiter, mutual reception, but the explosive, expansive power of this information explodes. Something is, and there's the bad side to this, where I said there's also a good side to this. Indirectly, at the time of this new moon, Venus here holds a very tight trine, Earth trine with Uranus. Uranus is in Venus's sign, so that means Venus is the dish out of this. in Capricorn. That's, how should I say, solution, or that is where something is promising in a realistic way. Yes, there can be that side of expectations versus reality. Jupiter opposing Mercury at this moment. Jupiter, actually, both Jupiter in Gemini and Mercury in Sagittarius, in their own way, say the same thing: expectation versus reality. So I'm not even going to go into detail. Venus trine Uranus is the reality, but it works. It's not useless. It's not BS. That's the good part. Something is practical there. Okay, Uranus can also represent big revolution, big boom of something. But Venus is value, right? Love, value, benefic, pleasure, lucky in her own way. In Capricorn, well, in Capricorn, it has to be earthly, not just pure fantasy. And that's why the Earth trine is promising. It may not exactly be under strict control or, expectation versus reality, this type of situation. However, even if it doesn't meet the expectation, it does good. It puts something on the table. And again, Venus is pleasure. It does bring joy. It does bring surprise, a good part of a surprise, or any bad situation. Anything has a good side to it as well. Vice versa, yeah. But you get what I mean. This goes very well with Sag energy in general, because this gives it an earthly power. Okay, not directly, because it doesn't directly converse, but remember Saturn squaring the new moon. Saturn puts the reality condition onto the table. Whatever it is that is happening at the time of this new moon, whatever we ask for, it cannot be pure empty words, for example, pure promise, pure. Let me put this into a realistic context. If the International Court of Justice says something, now there's two possible options. Exactly, Mercury opposing Jupiter in Gemini 2. Either it is executory, or we disregard in any situation the International Court of Justice. So either it gains power or loses power. One of the two options happens. We'll see which of the two. There it is. And regardless of what happens, the truth, Venus trine Uranus trine Venus, it helps. The truth always helps, right? It shows us where alternative lies. That's the real value. When our illusion is shattered, Saturn squaring this, Pisces, the illusion is shattered, then what we see are valid options. We can work with reality. We cannot work with illusion. We can work with reality. But anything that we build on reality check, a fresh lesson learned, a true solid wisdom, better said, that is usually meant to stay, meant to last. Taurus, on one hand, Venus is the ruler of Taurus. So Venus loves things that last. Not just Venus, but Capricorn too. Saturn too. Sagittarius doesn't care. Now he does. Saturn squaring Sagittarius will care. So this is such a good energy, because what we put our deepest faith and power, soul power, truly, not just soul, everything, heart, Mars in Leo trining the new moon, heart, really the power of the heart, Mars power. May that be passion, love, heart, Sagittarius, the power of faith, the creational power of our being, but creational not in an earthly way, but in a godly way, outside of earthly sphere way. It literally creates the fabric of reality. The thread that the three fates weave from, that is the thread. We are the spiders weaving it. The being, our consciousness. Reality is what we want it to be, and it was always like this. Now, time to wake up and actually execute this. If we want peace, we need to imperatively believe the peace into existence in a non-optional way for the archons of this world, even the stars themselves. When all of us believe it, then the earthly will command the sky to settle down. Whoa, stop your wars, because we are not taking any of that. So that is what this new moon and Venus trine Uranus gives us the power to do. And collectively, I'm absolutely certain that all of us are gonna use this. We need to desire and want and believe. But when I say believe in a us wanting it that way, type of way, peace and justice, divine justice, whatever that means. We don't know what that means, and we are not even supposed to. We will see it play out if we put enough strength into this new moon. And then there's the North Node in Aries. This also defines the self. We are also our deepest desires. We are what we believe the self to be. Saturn in Pisces, to be extra certain that we are generating the right type of self, we must have the courage to look into the mirror, Pisces, water, the mirror, to make sure that what reflects back at us resonates with our original intent. Once that is checked, yep, the reflection resonates. Yep, this is exactly what I want it to look like. Then the square turns into a massive motivation. That's where engines are ignited, the warp reaction, or how you call it, starts, and you're pumping your energy into the creational matrix. You're creating already, and it will show itself. Another energy that is, I find it absolutely amazing. Like when I first, was researching and doing my notes, I got goosebumps. The new moon trines to the degree dwarf planet Salasha, Neptune's wife. Salasha is the benevolent part of Neptune, because Neptune himself, regardless if you look at him physically or purely symbolically, has a deep dark side. The sea takes lives and demands sacrifice. Sailors know that, and there's no hard feelings. Every sea creature knows that. The sea is harsh, right? But then the spirit is harsh. Things that, deep feelings that drive people to insanity, suicide, all the dark stuff are also Neptune. And Neptune is also where sheer faith can beat reality or the expectations of reality. Like people are supposed to be able to recover miraculously from unbeatable, for example, cancer due to sheer faith. That's a gift to humankind, right? From the creator. So this is what I'm talking about. The power of Salasha, where she is mostly the positive. She is the, how should I say, the gentle, the like the fabric softener, the honey, the sweetener of Neptune. She is the sea calmer, because the sea can be a stormy hell, a pure watery inferno. It can also be the iconic scenery with the moonlight reflecting the breeze, the sound of the birds, and the smell of the brine air touching your. Both are the sea, both are Neptune, both are the spirit, both are our extrasensory experiences, both are non-physical drugs to our existence. Salasha is exactly this side of the spirit, of water, of the transcendental power of water. Is this that's Salasha? So you can imagine a perfect trine, basically a grand trine, grand fire trine, because Leo, Mars in Leo connects too. Well, do I need to say more? Good intent, the purity of the state of desire gives us what we want. And this can be very quick. Mars is quick. And Pluto, okay, Pluto opposes this. So Pluto puts like almost like a gun to Mars's head, where the smallest mistake and he'll pull the trigger. So Mars is under pressure, or when, I don't know, where a bladder shy person has to pee so badly that they can't take it anymore, but the public bathroom is a bit crowded. Can you imagine? That's the position where Mars is in. Can do, can do the fire trine, the empowerment, but it's still in a certain kind of discomfort. It's almost like the eye of the divine is looking at you at every move. You don't have your privacy, you know what I mean? So you really have to prove yourself this time. So this is where you feel, it's a feeling. You feel like, oh, there's no room for mistakes and F ups. I have to really try and get this right. Whatever this energy will translate to you in your own personal life and chart, etc. But Salasha is really the saving grace. Salasha is where, let me, rather than let me give an example. Sometimes in life, love can truly do anything. Love can be at times the greatest power in the universe. That type of situation. But replace love with any elated, almost sacred or deep or magical feeling, even if it's an illusion. Salasha is very much illusion, but the sacred one. You know what I mean? Where someone thought they left the light on and it bugs them, they go back. No, it was illusion, a mistake, a fata morgana. They miss the bus, that bus, but they also miss the inevitable accident that will be involved in 10 minutes or before 10 minutes after. You know what I mean? Salasha. So, we must embrace her. We must embrace the elation. We must embrace the sacredness of the feeling. We must embrace the purity of a child, the belief power of a 3 to 7 year old child, something like that. So, yeah, this is what we must somehow dish out at this new moon, because if we do this, it becomes high level, even if we don't manage to do this. As long as we don't misuse it, we're still all okay, a-okay. What does misuse mean? When we know that we're choosing a delusion, we know it's a delusion, we still choose it. Or we fight to be ignorant. We protect our ignorance with ferociousness. Or when we know something's not true, but for the sheer sake of something, pride or whatever, we still refuse to admit. So this is how we can get it wrong. Or I wanted to give a really morbid actually I'm giving it. A sorcerer accidentally conjures up the devil. Well, the moment you realize what you've done, this is where any deals that you make are not gonna be innocent. You're 1,000,000,000% safe, as in the conjurer, the sorcerer, until he realizes what he's done and should do the bye-bye gesture. Okay, sorry to disturb. Until this point, he's innocent, protected, nothing can happen to him. If he chooses to stay and chat after, that's when, you know what I mean? So this is exactly the new moon. As long as we do the right thing and not misuse this, we're still in a good book. Because Uranus can surprise us positively. So much good can happen. And even Mercury opposing Jupiter can have a lot of good sides. Let me give you an example. Due to either personal things in your life or the collective storm that is going on, your brain just overloads and you have a 3-day breakdown. But that breakdown, not only do you sleep and hibernate, your pleasure centers finally get triggered. You order food, your favorite food. You don't go to the gym and you choose to stay in the hot water for an extra 20 minutes. I don't want to go on with the list. You get a bit naughty and in the sense of very easily to convince in for any type of pleasure. So you really max out your pleasures. Whatever, however, we don't judge here, right? That means for you personally, anything goes. That's profoundly healing. That's profoundly regenerative. That's profoundly returning to the self. That's profoundly grounding. Not in a, I don't know, elevated spirit way, but life is not only about that, right? And that's exactly what Sagittarius and Pisces as well, Saturn and Pisces, tell us that there's that side of the spirit, but there's also the side where this you can embody any type of spirit and that to be a positive and meaningful experience in life. You learn from that as well. And speaking about healing, Mercury in Sag, so okay, not hugging with the new moon, but very much neighbors directly with the new moon. Trine in Chiron, healing again, the healing factor, profoundly healing. So this is where even if your mind is flooded, it is short-circuited, error does not compute, or blue screened, no problem, because there will be a massive hidden blessing within that. Some things are simply not meant for the earthly, almost like the material mind. Some things are meant for just the higher mind. And now let's get into even more magic, because let's examine the Sabian symbol of this new moon, which says a gold-haired goddess of opportunity. Like, what this depicts is basically the power of luck, the power of chaos. But remember what I said, that chaos reacts positively to hope or despair. But in our case, we will only look at hope, right? Nothing else interests us, especially right now. Hope. So we know what we need to do, and it needs to be the pure belief type of hope of again, 4, 2, 7, or a very young child. That type of purity. When we dish this alchemical cocktail to the table, then this energy will get turned into the gold-haired goddess of opportunity. So very opportunistic. Seeing is believing is seeing. Both are working at the same time. So only good can result of this if we are hell-bent to making it good. Saturn can work that well as well. You put your foot down. This will be something good for me. I don't care. Okay, my brain just shut off, or I'm down with flu and cold, or I don't know, my husband went down with flu and cold and I need to be his babysitter. No problem. That's one side. I'm still gonna make this magical, miraculous. It won't stop me. It will just open new opportunities to me. This mindset is where chaos shakes your hand and cooperate. This is with this mindset, chaos says, let me surprise you. Surprise, surprise. Because you took the awkward surprise, so my husband can't be left alone because he'll die of despair. Or I am down with something, or I don't know, something happened. Okay, no problem. You took that, then you can also take the good stuff. So, absolutely. This mindset opens opportunities. It invites chaos to do the good. Throwing dices, when chaos is charged with good intent, salasha, etc., then throwing dices can only mean something plus, positive. If you're not a sore loser, or you're not an envious, toxic person, chances are no one who listens to my horoscope is, then even if you throw one or a very small number, even if you get just a bouquet of flowers, you take it as such, and you can imagine that the universe will give you more. Take what it gives you. Some people will throw big number, other people will throw small numbers. But as long as both are open to receive and they don't judge it and they don't look at others, don't, don't. Then, because Jupiter in Gemini, that's the retrograde Jupiter. That's the don't compare yourself to others. When Jupiter is retrograde, that's usually the positive comparison, as in, you can do it too, you have it too, you will get there too. You're not more special than every other person in the world. You know what I mean? When Jupiter is retrograde, then it's the opposite end of this, where you are, special. So don't compare your speciality to the speciality of others. Don't compare. You're not like others. You know what I mean? But either can be and should be positive. This is how we use this energy well. So again, this is all good. Of course you're special. Because this is your story that you are writing with the ink of your faith. So, of course, you're special. In this situation, everyone must be special, non-optional. North Node in Aries, part of the fire trine. You must be special. Must. The dark side of this energy, and this is where Saturn is the biggest champion. Saturn is the good guy now. The great malefic is this, like, I don't know, Loki, or I don't know. Why? Because the dark side of fortune, opportunity, the golden goddess, well, you don't work, you never lifted a finger for it. So yeah, how nice, how good, but it's worthless and you're worthless. Based on that gain, you're worthless. It's like zero. You didn't gain really in the eyes of the universe. However, when Saturn is purified faith, so not just tumultuous faith, but faith that you took to the cauldron of your being and melted it down and purified it through blood, sweat, and tears. Even just philosophically thinking about the big stuff, right? That's a sacrifice, that's a wisdom, that's a worth, that's an effort. That's where it's based on work already. So it will stay with you forever. A being, a person who knows the difference between blind, spoiled opportunity and the opportunity that you worked for and waited for and cried for, or when I say opportunity, Sagittarius, whatever is important for you. So that finally jumps into your arms. Oh yeah, baby. That's when you are one happy person. That's when the grand fire trine puts you into the right kind of fire. Yes. So this is why the golden goddess needs a lot of wisdom to be relationed with correctly. Because sometimes big good fortune, how should I say, in a very unwelcomed way, we know that is the road to you know where. But at the same time, when an opportunity just gives us a how should I say, way too much that we truly don't need. However, an opportunity is an opportunity. We accept it, right? But we know that it will make us worthless because it's so much, it's a spoil, we don't need it. But we find a way to sanctify it share it, or make something with the excess. Not necessarily just live it up or, sanctify that luck, make it luck, give it a meaning, a higher meaning than just luck. That's when we already pulled the ace. That's when we are master technicians in our destiny. That's when we did something big. That's even better when you work for it and it comes to you. Because instead of spoiling you, instead of being just a waste, instead of just, zeroing you, it really makes you grow. So you, how should I say, hold the spectrum from going to the opposite side to the other side. This is when you pull a rock up a mountain, a weight. You climb a mountain with a heavy backpack. So when you get to the top, of course you're a champ. Even the mountain thinks you're a champ, right? Even nature thinks you're a champ. That's what I'm talking about. That's the golden goddess. The golden goddess is as kind and direct and merciful to us as we are to ourselves and to creation, and to, which means the other. Gemini, Jupiter in Gemini, another person ultimately is just another us. Let's not live in the illusion that it's not. At the same time, the symbol of the golden goddess, fame and fortune. But I don't need to detail this further because you understand it from my previous example. We need to turn fame and fortune into something. Give it away or make it work for something sacred, not the ego. Then is when we're already truly doing something massively big in the eyes of the divine. Now, let's go a bit further. Now that we understand the Sabian symbol and how important it really is, there's one more thing that I need to mention. It is conjunct an asteroid, but oh boy, one of the most special ones. Asteroid Urania. Urania is one of the 9 muses. She is the eldest daughter of Zeus, so Jupiter and Jupiter's sign, Sagittarius. She is a guest in her father's castle place. She is basically the the new moon. Sun and moon guests in Jupiter's place. His eldest daughter is like a very, very good host who invites the guests into the house, take a seat, entertains them in the absence of his father. Hospitality. And her mother is Mnemosyne, the Titaness of memory, a very potent healer goddess, especially healing mental health, mind healing. How rare and unique. So a belief or a quantum burst, a creational force within your something birth itself into existence via your belief system. And it heals you or the world, or it is profoundly healing. So Urania is the goddess of astronomy. But keep in mind that for the ancients, astronomy was astrology. So they weren't separate. So again, astrology, predictions. But when I say predictions, This is not fortune telling. This is not guessing. This is not intuition. This is forecast as something empirical as well as intuitive. So, and sorry, I lost my thought process. So Urania, yes, is very linked to astronomy, astrology. So foresight, forecast, but in a rather modern way, as we understand, for example, weather forecast, in a way where it's based on things you can actually explain, things that have at least an empirical, common, or not common, but logical side to them as well. Where I'm going with this is self-fulfilling prophecy, but it makes sense now. When, let's say that there's a self-fulfilling prophecy in your life, the moment when it makes sense why it should be fulfilled, even if it doesn't fulfill straight away, you are a million miles closer to it than you ever were in your life. Because it passed the gates of Mercury, the mind. The mind allowed it into existence. So you can imagine. Which other part of your being is next? Well, that's up to your personal unique situation and choices and how you lived life. But maybe this was the last part of your being which needed your triumph. So acknowledgement. You can imagine this energy can be really, really good and big and opportunistic. And again, Urania, I really, really love. So inspirational. Because muse is muse, right? And this energy is very good for artists as well. Very highly poetic Mercury. Highly atemporal square Saturn. Time isn't real. The ancient and the modern wash into one. Or we jump timelines every single day. This is where we live like in a bubble where sometimes we feel like we're back in the 1920s. 5 minutes after, we are really in Star Trek. 5 minutes after, we don't even know where we are, right? So this is where time just washes. Cosmological events may occur. Big news that are, when they occur, are a mystery, are mind-blowing, are really, you know what I'm saying. But after, they become big focal point of research and study and stuff like that. Space, cosmos, astronomy in a real sense. Something big, something massive. It can also be space travel innovation. Something happens in space, communication from space. And I can't help but to observe Mercury opposing Jupiter. And if we necessarily want to play with the space theme, this is some kind of revelation, exposing something, or truly a surprising message, contact, a different way that we understand everything in a moment, in a second, like a massive collective epiphany. Anyway, Urania, but remember trining Salasha. This is both the spirit and the mental. This is big magical energy. So long story short, regardless of how it may manifest collectively, because as I said, legal battle, Mars, and scientific break throughs but breakdowns as well. Mercury retrograde season. So this has a lot of stuff in it, not just good. Saturn squaring, but it gives us such a massive power that we must use this to, again, genie in our hands, peace, healing, justice, serenity. Let's really step into the future and grow and start being human beings again, not Instagram or robots or not two-faced. Why we must, just like how you cannot force bad things onto people, human beings, neither can you force good things. Good things are not necessarily good if the time hasn't come for them, for the person's own unique journey. You know what I mean? For example, you cannot force a utopic society onto people who are not ready for that. It will be prison and fountain of unhappiness for them. Give people what they truly desire in their hearts. Anyway, so what I'm saying is that we must really, really use this energy to put out like a massive creational wave into the universe where we ask to get it only that which we are based on the truth within our heart, mind, emotion, all parts of our being. And I am sure that peace is in everyone's, at least who listens to this horoscope, priority list and repertoire in any sense. I'm not just saying end to wars, but peace, end to economic backstabbing, end to the legal absurdity. Let people be free and, let thieves be thieves, for example. Because if you want to prevent thieves, you have to become a bigger thief. So there's other ways where you can combat thievery. You don't need to turn the legal system into something very paranoidly absurd, where it's based on mistrust and not really trust. So these are just examples. We must really trust the sacred fire burning in our hearts, that we can authentically use this energy and turn it back to an environment, to create an environment that's really thriving for everyone. That means how should I say, a source of like natural way of being for everyone. And the thing is, what I'm saying is not necessarily a utopia in a philosophical Sagittarian way, because in a philosophical way, everyone lives in their own dimension. Everyone is their own universe anyway. So it is a possibility for everyone to live their truth to up to a certain extent. So it's not impossible. So thank you, everyone. So please let us join forces and create a wave of peace, a wave of growth and healing for the human spirit. So thank you, everyone. Until next time, bye for now.